Hi guys, me again. Question of the day. Why do we travel? We travel to experience new things, right? Things we never even knew existed. We travel to meet new people who we never knew were out there. We travel to learn stuff. And today we are touring Charleston, South Carolina, home to the 13th oldest college in America. And I'm super excited because I know the dean. He's my nephew, Dr. Sebastian Van Delden. But today we want to take you on a tour of downtown Charleston and share some history with you. So follow us, The Adventures of C&C. Don't forget to give us a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share with a friend.
Taking my chances along with my dreams.
Charleston was established in 1670 and they are well known for their refurbished mansions. Look how beautiful. We were exploring downtown Charleston and wandered into the visitor center, and we met Mark Johnston, who suggested that we take this tour and we get free tickets on a carriage ride and a harbor ride. So we are going to take this tour, do this meeting, and see where we end up. We'll keep you posted. We just got finished with that presentation. It was a travel membership with destination travel. It sounds like a really good deal, and if that works for you, it's perfect. It doesn't work for us. We have found what works for us is RV travel. That works perfect for us. But this is a really good company, and they do what they say they're going to do. When we walked out, our tickets were waiting there. We have tickets onto the harbor tour. We have tickets with the carriage ride. In addition to that, we have a $50 check to use towards any dinner. So it sounds like a really great company, and they do what they say they're going to do. So if you are in Charleston, we highly recommend that you take that tour as well. And now we got our free tickets to go exploring.
As it is Saturday, but just below them you should be able to see a building being created. That is going to be a cruise, that is going to be a hotel when it's finished in the next 6 months or so. It's owned by the Lowe's Group, and it's actually the anchor to the waterfront beautification project that I spoke to earlier. Today's harbor tour. If I suddenly stop talking, that's probably because I am navigating or trying to avoid one of these mini sailboats that you probably see in front of us. White boat. That is the largest Coast Guard cutter in the entire fleet. That is the Coast Guard cutter Healy. She is one of one. It is 420 feet long, has 19 officers and 53 enlisted. That cruise ship I spoke to earlier, that's St. Matthew's Lutheran Church, sitting at 256 feet above the ground. If you'd like to get a closer look at St. Matthew's, you can head on over to King and Calhoun Streets. Charleston was founded on the belief of religious toleration. In a recent estimate, over 80 churches are on the peninsula alone. Had Fort Sumter been completed, it would have been the strongest fort in the world. It will house 350 men, 135 cannons, and stand 50 feet tall. Unfortunately, though, by 1860, the fort was only about 90% completed. As many of you may know, that is when South Carolina seceded from the Union as the first state to do so. At that time, all Union troops were ordered to give up their positions and hand them over to the Confederacy. The Pacific Fleet, of course, saw numerous naval engagements. The primary mission of the destroyer is to protect aircraft carriers as well as hunt for submarines. During the course of her duties, she was protecting an aircraft carrier during the invasion of Okinawa. At that time, she was hit 5 separate times by kamikaze aircraft and 3 separate times by bombs. Against all odds, her valiant crew were able to bring her back into port, where she was given the well-deserved nickname, the ship that wouldn't die. It's not the first aircraft carrier to hold the name the USS Yorktown. The first was CV-5, but she was lost during the Battle of Midway. At that time, CV-10 was being built in Newport News, Virginia, where all aircraft carriers are built for the United States Navy to this day. When fully outfitted, the USS Yorktown could hold thousands of sailors, dozens of aircraft, and reach speeds of over 30 knots. Just for a bit of comparison, we are going 7 knots, and the USS Yorktown is 810 feet longer than we are. The Yorktown needs about 30 feet of water below the waterline, but to get her that close to shore, she's sitting about 12 feet of water. I was never that great at math, but I know that doesn't quite add up. They had to dig a trench to get her that close to be able to see a bridge. Hopefully so, as it is the tallest man-made structure in all of South Carolina. It's named after Arthur Ravenel Jr., who was a congressperson between 1987 and 1995. After his time in Congress, he was still very politically active. He actually lobbied Congress for the funding for this bridge. Must have been pretty good at his job, as the bill came in $350 million. Took just about 3 years to complete. About a year ahead of schedule, saving taxpayers $150 million. Estimated 40% of all enslaved peoples were brought to the Americas through the port right there. The International African American Museum was opened just a couple months ago, and it tells the stories of those enslaved peoples and it pays their respects. If you have time, I'd strongly recommend you check it out.
Honey, St. Eustatius.
We are now going to use our second voucher at the Carolina Polo and Carriage Company. This is like a $100 savings. It was like $50 per ticket.
Come on, let's go. Over there. Yes, ma'am. Stop.
Nothing yummy down there.
Roger can take us anywhere we got.
Fastest horse in the city. So we're gonna try to run the entire tour. Don't worry, I'll slow him down. We'll do the full hour. But if I let him, he do this tour in about 20 minutes. But before I go out, every time I go out, I gotta check in with the city here. They can use a 1960s bingo ball machine. Draw a colored ball. That will correspond to one of 5 zones. That will be where we go. That's to divide up the horse traffic so we're not all on top of each other, talking over each other, running into each other, and all that. Just give me 1 second here. You ready? Polo, Kiernan, Carriage 101. I got Amigo. I got 9 victims. Tell me what kind of horse this is. I know I need to do that. I'll ask them. The closest that we got is they said Clydesdale. You're in the ballpark. The opposite end of the ballpark, but you're in the ballpark.
Is it not a Clydesdale?
No, it's an American Spotted Draft. American Spotted Draft, yep. Yeah, so Clydesdale is a Scottish draft horse that are bred for cold weather. American Spotted is bred for the hot weather, like the American Midwest and stuff like that. And so they're kind of on the opposite ends of the draft horse family.
Oh, he's big.
He's big, yeah. 1,900 pounds, about 17 hands.
1,900?
1,900 pounds, yep.
This market is huge.
Yeah, however long they weigh.
Now he's probably from the Amish too, right? Somewhere down in inside.
Holmes County, Ohio.
Ohio.
Yeah. All of our horses are Amish horses, Amish rescues, so to speak. We're not technically supposed to call them rescues, but they're more or less rescues because the Amish work these horses. Sorry about that. Sun up to sundown, 6 days a week. And then they pull the Amish church on Sunday. And so here they work 3 to 5 days a week, 3 to 5 tours a day.
Semi-retired, right?
Semi-retirement, pretty much. Starting out, we're going up a hill here in Charleston. This is important. It's one of the tallest hills in Charleston. We're going to have about an 8-foot elevation change here. So my ears are popping already.
I can feel it.
Those fires destroyed a third of the city each.
Wow.
And both of those fires hit Ansonboro.
We'll start with that.
That's a good darn question because to this day, no historian is 100% sure what started that fire. The fire of 1861 started about a block down Hazel Street here, corner of Hazel and East Bay. You can go down there now, there's a Harris Teeter in that corner. That's where there's a textile factory, making mainly cotton textiles. And when that fire broke out, it started there. They think it was probably an accident to the factory because dry cotton, very easy to catch on fire and burn. Machinery inside, modern OSHA, right? Very easy for that to cause a spark. But also, was eyewitnesses, 4 eyewitnesses that said to the north of the factory, there was enslaved people cooking something for the family of the house to the north. It's possible with a strong 20 to 30 mile an hour breeze that day, southwest breeze, embers blew from that fire onto the factory. Either way, don't know for sure. There is a popular conspiracy theory that General Sherman sent a spy to start the fire. And that's the only reason that even exists is because he said the words, when you decide not to burn Charleston, Charleston is a burnt husk of a city not worth burning again.
Oh, wow.
Ouch, but fair.
Ouch.
I get the strategic sense there because we, lost the third of the city in 1861, beginning of the war. Why would you come burn it again? So the problem with that theory is that when the Union came to Charleston and sieged it, come on, buddy. They spent 544 days sieging Charleston. 50,000 shells lost to the city. Many of those shells, 30,000 of them, to be precise, a little over 30,000. Hit rubble and ash from something that had already burned in the Great Fire. And historians like to point out, if they had started the fire, why would they waste so much ammunition on stuff that they had already destroyed in that fire? As for the 1838 fire, we know exactly where it started. Corner of King and Wilson Street. There's an old Charleston lady's house. They think there was a lantern left burning, or a candle left burning in the shed behind her house. I say shed, the carriage house behind her house. That carriage house caught fire. And that fire destroyed 1,100 buildings. Whoa. Most destructive fire in Charleston's history. First of all, everything's built close together. It's meant to save space, but it also makes everything a bit of a fire hazard. Secondly, everything here is brick or wood. Even if it looks kind of like stone or concrete, that's a material called a tabby. put over the front, crushed oyster shell, mud, lime, and water, mixed together to create a stone-like appearance. And thirdly, our main method of fighting fires were fire insurance companies. Yeah, not a municipal fire department, but private companies. You buy insurance with one, your house catches fire, everybody in the area shows up. Only the one you have insurance with puts the fire out. Everybody else sat there and watched and tried to sell you insurance. Peters or Publix, that's over on the historic site where the Great Fire of 1861 started. I'll point out that there's an Apple Store and a Gucci and a Louis Vuitton on King Street. The big corporations are already here. The Target, it mostly blends in. It's nice to be college students a few blocks away to have something convenient and affordable to stop at. And that building right there is 1987 construction. It's not historic. And all these shops here in the Charleston Place Hotel, they got exemptions.
The story of the Charleston Place, one city, one place. When it was built in 1986, the Charleston Place answered a call to be part of a larger, audacious vision for the city of Charleston, a catalyst for its revival and resurgence as a world-class travel destination.
Ooh, Pandora.
We enjoyed exploring the Charleston Place with its beautiful high-end stores and restaurant. The lobby was just gorgeous.
A great example of a restored house. So it's a good thing, but there's no examples right now of buildings that aren't restored. There's a couple that are back there. But this building used to be in terrible condition. The paint was coming off. You can see the gray underneath the walls. There was cracks in the columns and underneath the windows. Windows were, damaged themselves. All that connected brownstone was ugly, and the cast iron all needed to be rebuilt and restored and repaired. And they did all of that, and now it's looking very, very nice.
Yeah.
This is an 1836 home.
Wow.
So anyway, a lot of our churches here, you can see of the 165 active churches we have within Charleston. We also have 16 in addition that are inactive.
Why are they impacting?
There's just not enough people for it. There's only 157,000 people in Charleston as of the beginning of this year. And so when you have 165 churches just on the peninsula, over 400 in the entire city, there's not really enough churches for all the people, or not enough people for all the churches, I should say. Excuse me. Step it up. So some of them are inactive. Now, some of them are just like this. They're just abandoned more or less, but kept up with, kept historic and restored. A lot of other ones you'll see are turned into restaurants or museums or stuff like that. So they're always in historically accurate condition, even if they're not active. But quick break to the history.
This was a church?
No, it's an example of restoration.
Oh, okay.
Talking about how we keep everything restored here. Just saying that we do the same thing with our churches here.
Right.
So our churches much as we do our buildings. These are all shops here. King Street's our high-end shopping district. If you're always looking for a bargain or for a deal, that's not the spot for you. King Street has been a shopping district of sorts since the mid-1600s. It's been high-end shopping since the 1960s and 70s and 80s. Mainly since the 70s and 80s. So Mayor Joe Riley did a huge restoration of King Street to help bring money into the city, more shops, more tourists, and everything else. High-end shops paying leases on the buildings. In order to do that, he actually ran a donation campaign. So the donations. So if you guys go down King Street, about a block further that way, there's in front of the Charleston Place Hotel and other areas, there's bricks with names carved into them. Those are the names of people who donated to restore King Street. You guys see the maroon street signs and the things hanging up lampposts? That means you're on the College Charleston campus. This is kind of the northern edge of the campus right here on Wentworth Street. Now, this college was founded in 1770. 13th oldest college in the nation. And I think it was 6 years before the Revolutionary War. Timing is not a coincidence. Now, leading up to the war, the British, when we send our kids to Britain to be educated, if we hadn't paid our taxes, they would throw our kids in jail. So Charlestonians got pretty sick of that. Started educating their kids here, called Charleston 1770. A lot of old families have educated them here ever since. My boss, Richard, who loads guys in the carriage, sold for you your tickets, he's the owner of the company. He is a direct descendant of Colonel William Braddock, who was a son of the original settler here in Charleston. And he was educated here at College Charleston. As was his dad. And his dad, and so on and so forth. The problem is, we went from having 50 students in 1770 to now having over 15,000.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And we have a peninsula that's about 5 miles long by about 1.5 miles wide. And there's a lot of historic homes there. There's no room to build nothing, or new dorms and everything, right? So the College Charleston has to rent or buy historic homes for dorm space. So this is Sorority Row right here. These 4 houses right here, 1890s. That brick one's 1870s.
Wow.
Now, that's a problem because partying college students and historic dorms don't always mix. My first year of college was College Charleston. It's a little bit of a party school. You know, I said we're a drinking city with a history problem. Same thing goes for college. So that brick one right there had a party in 2004 where the sorority there threw a beach party by removing the hand-blown glass windows, thankfully kept them intact, and then throwing sand and water in on the original hardwood floors.
Oh.
See those silver discs on the side there? Those are earthquake bolts. Charleston had a major earthquake in 1886, 7.0 to 7.4 on the Richter scale. Yeah. So that was felt in Charleston, West Virginia, funny enough, and as far as West Palm Beach, Florida.
Wow.
So a little over 420 miles in either direction. And so that's a massive earthquake, did a lot of damage, a lot of destruction here. Because our buildings were built to withstand hurricanes, and tornadoes, and warfare, they did do pretty well despite not being earthquake proof or earthquake resistant. But a lot of buildings need these bolts to fix them up, so you stay standing, so you can straighten the walls up. Essentially, you've got a steel disc there, steel rod that runs through the house or church or building or whatever. The bolt attaches to a turnbuckle, turn the bolt, turns the turnbuckle, straightens the walls up.
Wow.
It's a genius idea, but it's a short-term solution for a long-term problem, because if we do have another earthquake of that magnitude, a lot of experts think these will explode out into the street because the walls are so tense. Now on the other side of this church, there's no earthquake bolts because there's a fire in the 1890s that collapsed the side of the church. They had to rebuild it. And this church also took a couple direct hits from cannon fire during the Civil War.
Wow.
Now raise your hand if you believe in ghosts. 1.5. Got it. 2.5. Maybe? Okay, so 2. Well, 1 and 2 halves, so 2, right? So we're getting ready to go through what's called the projects by locals. It's the Robert Mills Manor by the city, a bunch of different names, but essentially it's the affordable housing. It's the subsidized housing for single parents, small families, and people with disabilities, and stuff like that. All these houses were built in the 1920s and 30s to accommodate poor whites and poor immigrants to the city under FDR's New Deal, money to the economy and the country. And in order to do so, they kicked out all the African-American families that were living here, that had been living here for generations since Civil War and slavery and Reconstruction and all that. So it's considered a cursed area already. But if you went to that side of it, there's an old Marina Hospital. On that side of it, there's regular old hospitals used during World War I and World War II as hospital houses. Step it up. Step up. Good boy. And then when we pass by Wilson Street right here, look down the right of Wilson Street, and you're gonna see the old city jail, big castle-like structure. Hey, street, buddy. Right down here, big castle-like structure in the distance. Tabby, the wrought iron on the bars, and on the windows, and the gate, and all that. That's Charleston's most haunted building. Helps with the whole haunted stories about this area. Yeah. But those jail cells are roughly the size of our carriage here. On a good day from 1802 to 1810, when it first opened, was most active. They would house 16 people to a cell.
Oh.
On the worst days, up to 25.
Oh.
So the stone brick walls, the heat outside during the summer, people pack themselves like sardines. It can routinely get up to 110 degrees Fahrenheit inside jail cells.
Oh my
Yellow fever, cholera, tuberculosis, and typhoid fever all ran rampant out of that jail, killing hundreds. Charleston, just because it's always had beautiful, it's always looked beautiful, it's always had good restorations done to it, always remained looking historically accurate. This is an 1886 home, the second largest home in Charleston, built in 1886 to almost exactly 24,000 square feet for Francis Silas Rogers. So he helped Mayor Win Courtney establish that first municipal fire department in 1888. He was a veteran firefighter. That's not where he made his money though. That was his side job because he was obsessed with fighting fires. His main job was owning plantations, cotton plantations. But he made most of that money after the war, because after the war, all the plantations are bombarded. Lands were flooded during a hurricane in 1863. Some plantations have been straight out burned to the ground by Union forces. And so all these plantation owners, they're like, well, I don't want to rebuild everything, and I can't use slaves, so I don't know how I'll make money off these plantations, so I'm going to just sell my land real cheap. So he bought up all the land real cheap and used paid labor instead. Crazy concept. And so he went from 500 acres to 3,000 acres of plantation land in a 2-year period.
Wow.
But had this house built. Now, if you ask his descendants, they say that he asked his wife one day how many children she planned on having, and she said 24 children. They built a 24,000 square foot house. Most historians don't believe that's true, but they did have 13 kids.
Wow.
And last girl was when she was 35, so they tried.
Wow.
Now is somebody living in there?
It's a hotel now.
It's a hotel.
It's the #1 hotel in Charleston as of this year. So they
Wow.
run on average, the rooms run on average $500-700 a night. If you go for the King Suite, like it's kind of like the honeymoon suite room, that's $900 to $1,200 a night, depending on the time of year and how far out you're booking.
Wow.
But in the back, something that might be more interest to you guys, it's a restaurant called Circa 1886, which in my opinion is the best restaurant in Charleston.
Oh,
Officially, it's
wow.
#2 behind Hoss Chop House. Hoss Chop House is a little overrated, a little overpriced.
Like the root of the tree. This has been here a long time, right? It's grown right into the concrete.
World famous Henry's on the Market is Charleston's oldest restaurant. It opened its doors in 1932. After Henry passed away, the restaurant went on to his daughter, and his daughter tried to sell it. It was on the market for years at $1 million. Nobody wanted it because they thought it was too old and run down. She then sold it to Leo Shigakuris into 1985, and he was able to purchase it and purchase Henry's name, and she agreed to give him owner financing for 20 years with a $70,000 down payment and a promise to keep Henry's name on the property no matter what. Soon to turn 100 years, Henry's is by far the oldest restaurant in the state of South Carolina. Although passing through 7+ hurricanes, 2 recessions, 1 minor divorce, and even the coronavirus, Henry's is still in the top 5 of the highest sales in the restaurant industry in Charleston.
The skillet flatbread.
Different type of pretzel.
Yeah, and a giant is a fat pretzel. Ooh, looks so good. And the Caesar salad with salmon. And the double, which is a smash burger. Looks really, really yummy. The appetizers was so delicious. That cornbread, so good.
So we're walking down the street in Charleston, and there's a ton of people on the sidewalk, and whenever there's a lot of people, I know it's something worth checking out. It's the Hyman's restaurant right in downtown Charleston. It's actually like a 45-minute wait, and it's freezing outside, so we're coming back, but we have to check this place out because it's voted one of the best in Charleston.
Oh, that's funny. It's like a theater. It's not as popular because there's not like 300 people outside waiting. If you are in Charleston, South Carolina, and you're looking to go to the Hyman Seafood Restaurant, which is the most famous, the best seafood restaurant into Charleston, and it's really busy, there's like an hour wait, you can come across the street to Thai Zat. The food is absolutely delicious. I have the green curry shrimp, and it's so super yummy. We highly recommend this place in Charleston, South Carolina. Thai Zap. Delicious shrimp tempura. Green curry shrimp and masamang. Right, honey? That's what you say, masamang. And the most spiciest there is.
At the light, turn right onto Hassel Street.
Hassel Street?
In 1.7 miles, keep right onto West Coleman Boulevard toward Sullivan's Island.
We went to Sullivan's Island in search of Nico's restaurant. It came highly recommended, but when we got there we needed a reservation. There was no way to get in, so we went to Vickery's onto Shrimp Lane, and it was great. The food was great, service was good, and an amazing view of the sunset. Vickery's was a really interesting restaurant. The walls were made up of dinnerware. It was so cool. This was really like a sightseeing restaurant. And we were there on a Saturday night, and there was DJ playing outside. It was just a really good time, good vibes.
Bourbon shrimp and pasta, and black and blue burger with a sunset view.
The Pineapple Fountain is a focal point of the Charleston Waterfront Park. This is absolutely beautiful and a must-see when you are visiting Charleston. We stayed at the Charleston K-Way, which was probably about 20 minutes out of downtown Charleston. If you want to stay like right in Charleston or on Sullivan's Island, the prices are much more. We paid like $75 a night. It was a great park. It was a little bit hard getting in and out of because the street is so busy. So when you leave, you better be hopeful that you're making a right turn because it's very difficult to get out of the traffic right in front of the RV park.
Well, this is a really cool spot. Comes with a swing, some Adirondack chairs. It's a big pull through. I'll have to make a note of this for the next time. But there we are. And a very nice spot. We just don't have a swing. We got stuck after we hooked up the car. We couldn't make the turn and we got stuck on the corner. We had to disconnect the car to be able to reverse the RV, and now we have to reconnect the car. This was a RV bloop bloop. This is hooking up the car, take 2. And And if you enjoy this video, don't forget, Benji said give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more of this cuteness.